What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today we're taking a look back. We're looking at auto rifles, but an auto rifle from the past. It's the Doctrine of Passing. So the weapon patch is out, weapons are changing. We're going to talk about the Doctrine, but first, our like, sub, comment of the day. Tyrone found the channel. So I want to ask you guys, how in the world did you all find this corner of the internet and YouTube? Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is the Doctrine. As I said, the weapon patch is out. That means that I've been testing pretty much everything. I have tested absolutely everything. The only weapon type that I haven't used since the patch is a scout rifle, and I was actually using the Boolean Gemini just before the patch dropped. So I don't imagine there's going to be a ton of crazy differences with scout rifles, but all other weapon types, from hand cannons to the pulse rifles, the fast, the slow firing, the auto rifles, the fast, medium, and slow firing, I've been using them all. And I'm wondering, is it the Doctrine's time to shine again? Well, I guess that's why you're all here at this video, so we're going to talk about that for sure. But let's first take a look at the Doctrine. So this is a Doctrine that you saw in the clips ahead, and we'll see in the rest of the video. It is the Adept version. It's the only Adept version I actually have. It was the first fast-firing, no-impact auto rifle that really made a big name for itself. We're going to ignore the Atheon's epilogue. And the cool thing with all the Doctrines is you don't have to hope for a ton for a god roll, because everything comes stock until you get to this final perk. And in this final perk column, you want counterbalance. And you can see that I have Rodeo. I do not have a counterbalance Doctrine. I wanted one, I never got one. I had some other non-adept versions, but as you can see, this one is Hidden Hand, and Hidden Hand, it just didn't work out for me at all. So one thing with the Doctrine, and with mostly all auto rifles, is assuming that you don't have potato aim like that, you're probably going to get a lot of trades with it. You're going to get a lot of trades whenever you're going one-on-one against another weapon type, because that's just the way that auto rifles are. They're just not as good as hand cannons as far as being able to consistently get an enemy down whenever you're actually moving. Now, whenever you're going ahead and standing still and shooting at an enemy, and the enemy is not moving, the times to kill are relatively comparable. It looks like the weapon should be on equal footing. But whenever targets start moving and jumping, hand cannons have a huge advantage over auto rifles, because they only need one critical hit shot in order to do their fastest time to kill. And that's why, straight up, head-to-head, hand cannons are going to win. Another thing you'll notice is I'm getting a lot of assists. So be prepared for the Doctrine, or any auto rifle in general, that you're going to be getting a lot of assists, because you have to kind of peek in, take your shots, peek out. You have to do stuff like that, and that's extremely difficult with an auto rifle, because an auto rifle is meant for sustained fire without going ahead and peeking back into corners. But I got a lot of assists, and what do I mean by a lot of assists? Well, take a look at this game. 14 assists on a 2.25 KD. That is unreal. But whenever stuff is going well for you like that, and you're getting the headshots because the enemy is either running straight towards you or standing relatively in place, you're going to melt them. You're just absolutely going to melt them, and it's a ton of fun, because you'll be able to get off all those shots and they won't even know what's coming for them. But then again, I guess if you're doing that, you're not actually facing them one-on-one, because you're kind of shooting them in the ear a little bit. And I think that's where the Doctrine really shines. If you're able to get the drop on enemies and get some of those shots out before they can start running and jumping away, you might be able to take them down past their shield. And in those cases, you're going to be in a really nice shape. Of course, the Doctrine is also really good for helping your team to team shot enemies, because as you saw, if I was getting a lot of assists, somebody else was cleaning up those 14 kills in that other game. So they were probably ecstatic that they had a Doctrine there, because I can pump out so many bullets on the enemy, and then one critical hit hand cannon shot and boom, they're down. That's pretty nice. So the Doctrine didn't receive anything really in the patch aside from that small incremental change to the critical hit rate and the damage that you would get from a critical hit. So because of that, the Doctrine actually will have a slightly faster time to kill. But like I said, I believe with the Doctrine style, you need to hit something like 13 out of 14 critical hits in order to get the enemy down in the fastest time to kill. That's simply not going to happen. It is simply not going to happen. Sure, it might happen every now and then, but more often than not, forget about it. So don't even worry about the times to kill on these weapons, because the written times to kill, it just doesn't matter. It will not happen in the game. But Because the critical hit modifier got adjusted and increased, Doctrine actually is slightly better overall on paper than it was just before. It didn't receive the damage buff that the slowest firing auto rifles did, but it didn't necessarily need that. I feel like auto rifles in general could definitely use a higher buff to that critical hit modifier. I don't think that will be a detriment to the game. I think you actually need to look beyond the paper stats on times to kill for auto rifles if you ever really want them to be able to compete with hand cannons. In my opinion, theoretical time to kill is definitely different from functional time to kill. So what about this weapon in the Trials of Osiris? Not sure it's Doctrine's time to shine there just yet. The problem is, again, hand cannons. Hand cannons occupy the same fighting space as auto rifles, and I think if you're going to go one-on-one against a hand cannon, more often than not, if you've got the same skill level, you're going to lose. Unless maybe you've got a team of 3 people using the Doctrine, rushing in there, trying to get all the shots they can, then maybe you'll be able to team shoot the other team, move from one guy to the next guy to the next guy, and maybe it might work out for you. In a one-on-one battle though, not sure it's going to work. But whenever you've got the 6v6 game mode, like Iron Banner coming up, you might actually be able to see this thing and use this thing, and this is Supremacy. So people are going to be running all over the place in Supremacy, and they're going to be focusing on the crest. You'll be able to get people in the ear, right where this weapon will shine. So I'm really looking forward to going ahead and using that. I think the Doctrine of Passing will be my weapon of choice for this particular Iron Banner. I'm not sure, we're going to have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see whenever I get into the game mode and see how it's feeling. But, something else. I really think I want to go ahead and get a counterbalance version. From what I hear, I believe you can get it from the gold packages. It will not be an adept version, but oh man, that means I've got to do the Trials of Osiris. That is not something that I am looking forward to. Oh man. Anyway guys and gals, I want to hear what your thoughts on the Doctrine are. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Doctrine, and I'll see you around in Destiny. #BulletHose.